Yeah, speaking of anything can happen in movies nowadays, we're getting a Nicolas Cage movie about Nicolas Cage as a character, as a person, portrayed by the real Nicolas Cage. If it sounds confusing, it's probably because it is a little bit. So, in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and yes, that's the actual name of the movie, the real Nicolas Cage
Love it.
is hard on money. He's strapped for cash, like the real Nicolas
Who
Cage.
Nicolas Cage
And
was.
so Neil Patrick Harris tells him about this opportunity that a rich guy, played by Pedro Pascal, is offering him $1 million just to hang out with him as Nicolas Cage, just because he's a Nicolas Cage super fan. This movie has actually been on my radar since the beginning of last year when it first got announced, because I'm going, the concept of this is so bizarre, and also Josh and I have advocated for Nicolas Cage for the longest time, and so many
Oh,
people have
absolutely.
slept on him, and I feel like this movie's going to lean into that, because you get Tiffany Haddish and that guy that's in a whole bunch of comedies, like, wasn't he in, like, Blockers or something like that? And they're all just like, yeah, I used to love Nicolas Cage in, like, The Rock and Con Air, and I'm just going, have you not seen him in anything for the past 10 years? Like, he's been in some great stuff. Like, Nicolas Cage is great. Don't just say his old stuff. Talk about his current stuff, too. And
Yeah.
so, I'm like, come on now. But so he shows up, and it's just Nicolas Cage pretending to be himself, goofing off with Pedro Pascal. At one point, there's a gigantic dummy of him with the two guns from Face Off, and she's like,
Yeah.
it's so grotesque. I'll offer you $20,000 for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
Oh,
dumb. But I have a sneaking suspicion that this will be the less serious version of Honey Boy. Of, like,
Yeah.
the movie will start as, oh, it's Nicolas Cage, it's so funny to be Nicolas Cage. And then as the movie progresses, it will kind of be a love letter to Nicolas Cage and kind of his, just like a, it's not as, I'm not always okay with people seeing me as the crazy Nicolas Cage. Like, I'm still a person. I still have
Yeah.
issues that I've had to work through. I can absolutely see this movie taking that turn, and I'm very much looking forward to it. That, and when Nicolas Cage wants to be funny, he's wicked funny, and Pedro Pascal is wicked funny.
Wicked
and
funny.
this I think is going to balance that line carefully of dumb humor, because there's some dumb jokes in this when they're high and they're trying to get over the wall. You're heavier than you look. I have a big head. And he drops
Just
him.
falls on his head.
It's like, oh, Mr. Cage, guess we could have walked around the wall. Yeah, I guess we could have. Like,
Or like what he says when he first meets Pedro Pascal's character on the dock.
I'm not going to
He's like,
screw your wife.
"Oh,
I'm not going to watch you screw your wife. I'm not going to do whatever to this Javi guy. What's your name? Javi. Like, bows to him.
like it is. I do think this is gonna go full Honey Boy, and I'm really ready for it. I feel like this would be the opportunity for Nicolas Cage to tell his story of like, hey, like I was really down on my luck for a long time financially, and I had to do a lot of crappy movies in order to just pay the bills. And then
Or-
that kind of became my thing.
Or, like, I am aware that some of these movies are bad. That being said, I love making movies, because that's often
Yes.
been what Nicolas Cage says. Even about his bad movies, he's just like, I love the creative process. I love just being in movies. And I think people make fun of him for that. They're like, he just loves being in movies. Isn't that funny? I'm like, are you just mad that he gets to be in whatever movie he feels like?
Yeah.
Like, what's so wrong about him being in so many movies? And we're not just
Yeah.
saying that as big Nick Cage fans. It's just like, I think so many people just see, oh yeah, Nick Cage is a great action star back in the day. Yes, he's been in a lot of low budget stuff, but he's still really good in a lot of stuff. Like, I'll talk about it later for our discussion. He's so good in Pig. Or this year alone, he's got 3 wildly different movies. He's got Willy's Wonderland. He's awesome in that without saying a word. Pig, completely opposite of Willy's Wonderland, of a sad, dramatic character piece. Then follows that up with Prisoners of the Ghostland, a balls to the wall nuts movie where he has explosive to his nuts, essentially. Um, and it's a Shudder exclusive, like one of those type of weird sci-fi-esque type movies, Sci-Fi Channel, not the genre. And he's willing to try everything, and that's awesome. I don't get the people making fun of Cage. I think at times
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, it comes across, and I don't know if people intend it or not, as mean-spirited. Like,
Yeah.
he's having fun. I enjoy when Nick Cage is having fun because I'm having fun. Not ironically. I see this as he's a different actor than a lot of others. He is fearless. He's having fun. I'm not saying he's Tommy Wiseau of acting. He's much better than that. But
Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau is fearless. Nicolas Cage is fearless. I appreciate that. He's one of my favorites, completely unironically. And this is a project that I've been excited for because it feels like an idiotic love letter in the best sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, it just feels like this says everything that I love in a Cage movie. It's ridiculous Cage antics. His like the bow thing makes no sense, but I love it. There's just
It kind of gives me a sense that like might actually be how he would greet me.
Oh, I without a doubt think that's how he greets people. Honestly, just ask, like, anytime you have any questions if Nick Cage is really this wild in real life, go ask Elijah Wood. His interview on First We Feast for Hot Ones, they talk about Nicolas Cage very briefly when him and that movie they did called The Trust, which I still recommend to this day. It's just like, it was just one of those like most surreal moments that he's like, wow, I'm acting with the Nick Cage. Like, that's so cool. You know what I mean? So it just, I don't think that you and I are spitting hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
I do that every time and not even on purpose. Doing hyperbole in that, like, Nicolas Cage is genuinely one of the most entertaining human beings on the face of the planet. I'll watch it, and I'm literally going to go watch either Pig or Willy's Wonderland after this because I realized I hadn't watched it. But yes,
Both of them are great. I think you'll enjoy both, but for
Mm.
wildly different reasons.
And like, even just thinking about like Nick Cage doing like you and I love him for like Wicker Man and Drive Angry, but then he did a movie. What was that? Joe.
Joe, I've heard is
Joe?
phenomenal.
And it's super. It was. I had to like stop it because I was not in the headspace. I was expecting like a typical Cage movie, but it is like gritty, and he's acting really well in it, and I was not ready for it. But it's just, I think,
Again, he's putting in good performances, but people don't want to put in the effort to find them.
yes, because they see that's just Nick Cage. He's just crazy. It's like, honestly, dude, he's been putting out bangers for the past 5-10 years.
He's already getting awards consideration for Pig, and darn right, he's
Good.
awesome.
I love it. If Lamb can be considered a serious movie, I see no reason why Pig cannot be taken seriously.